Hi, and welcome to Kloeker Education Foundation, where we provide quality content for amazing teachers and students. If you're joining us from our previous video on business profit, welcome back. If this is your first time, we're glad you're here. This is our Intro to Business series, and this lesson is on business risk. Let's dive in. We have two objectives in this lesson. Objective A, to explain the types of business risk, and Objective B, explain how businesses deal with these risks. Starting with Objective A, the different types of business risk. I'm sure you're wondering, why is this important? We face risk every day. When we're driving, going home, when we're working, if you're staying out late, we face risk every day. We try to keep bad things from happening to us by making smart decisions, and businesses do the same. Now, what is business risk? It is the possibility of a loss or failure, and it's the possibility to make gains and have success, lose it all, or make a fortune, if we're talking about extremes. So why take a risk? It's the only way to be successful. However, not every risk is a good idea, and so effectively managing those risks are key to success. Now, there are four major types of business risk: hazard risk, operational risk, strategic risk, and financial risk. Hazard risk include things like natural disasters, property damage, employee issues, as well as customer issues and crime in the local area. These things generally are out of control for most businesses. Operational risks include things like human error, labor relations, production problems, insufficient information management, and leadership problems. Many of these risks are caused by human error inside of the business or by employees within the company. Strategic risks include things like reputation damage, competition, obsolescence, regulatory and political issues, and changing customer needs. These things, many of which outside of the business control, however, the business can take steps to avoid these type of risk. And financial risk. There are both external and internal financial risk, and we'll talk about those in this lesson. Now, risk can be put into two categories when making a decision: pure risk and speculative risk. All business risks are either pure or speculative. Pure risk have two possibilities: loss or no loss. There is no gain in pure risk. And speculative risk, making a decision that have the possibility of a loss, of no change, or of a gain. Pure risk include hazard risk and operational risk. These cannot be avoided for the most part. We cannot control the weather, and if you find a way, you'll be the richest man alive. Speculative risk are strategic and financial risk, and generally can have more steps taken to avoid said risk. Now let's take these principles and apply it to some businesses in our local area or around your community. Think of a theme park. You may have had a carnival come to town recently. This theme park, think of the risk that they are operating with. Identify and recommend to a neighbor how would one handle said risk. How did the theme park or carnival handle said risk? Identify 3 risks you think they could face and recommend whether the park should avoid, prevent, control, transfer, or retain that risk as part of their business operations. Now let's focus on our second objective, explaining how businesses deal with these risks. There are four main ways of handling risk as a business: avoiding it, preventing or controlling it, transferring it, or retaining said risk. Avoiding risk looks like not actively participating in risky activity. No risk, no danger. However, it is impossible to avoid every risk. We can avoid risk by flying on a plane, by not getting on a plane. However, we cannot control the risk of everyone else. Preventing or controlling risk generally means to identify risk and take measures to prevent and reduce it. One can reduce theft from a store by installing security systems, tags, and cameras. That is an example of preventing and controlling a risk. Transferring risk means to transfer or shift the risk, generally through contractual agreements, business organization, or insurance, such as for an individual, home insurance insures the home against damage. There is business insurance to insure buildings against natural disasters. That is transferring risk to another entity through a contract and insurance. Lastly, businesses deal with risk by retaining risk. This means that they may be unaware of the risk, underestimate the risk, or feel that the risk is small, or believe that there's a chance of a positive return by letting the risk play out. Now, let's take these principles and apply them to a real-life situation to build strong ethics and character in business through the gray zone. The responsibility for business risk is not always a clear issue. Let's say a construction company is setting up a safe working environment. They set up a safe building site and train its workers in taking appropriate safety precautions. But Bob, the construction worker, still falls from the scaffolding. Whose fault is it? The construction company's, you might say, because the dangers of working on a building project are indeed business risk. The responsibility for risk is not always clear. The construction company takes safety precautions, hard hats, safety vests. A worker still falls. Whose fault is it? Earlier we said most would probably blame the company. But if you knew, however, the construction worker had ducked under a barrier to jump from one scaffolding platform to another, would your answer change? Would you still lay the blame on the company? Or would you say that the company should not be held responsible for this worker's actions? That wraps up our lesson. Thanks for joining us. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out on Teachers Pay Teachers, YouTube, Rumble, and the Kloeker Education Foundation website. Our next lesson on economics and economic activities is just a click away. I'll see you there.